Our merchant nearly peaked my audio on
He
my
did
end.
peak. He did peak my audio.
Meh.
I actually just need to turn him down in general for me because I have my headphones turned up so I can hear Failsy for a change.
And yes,
Are you
I am
mocking
naturally
Caleb?
loud.
Well, yeah, because you're a fucking giant.
He
What is-
also probably has the best mic out of any
Because
of
you
us.
have bigger lungs than the rest of us, therefore you can put more volume out. You also have bigger vocal cords.
Bigger vocal cords doesn't mean more sound.
No, but the lungs is more the point where I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's more the accurate statement.
You're always fixated on the giant part. Are you heightist?
When it's appropriate. When it offers an explanation. Or it suits the narrative.
I'm only a horrible person when it's appropriate. When is it appropriate? That's only for me to judge.
When I feel like it.
I love how I'm looking up images of White Knight Chronicles while waiting for all the things with link bombing and introductions to get done. And I've remembered that White Knight Chronicles has one of the most stereotypical evil bad guys ever. Like, evil-looking bad guys ever.
That the one you just posted?
No.
I'm going to take a look and see if White Knight Chronicles is on Steam at all. If not,
I
then
don't
can't
I don't
play
think it is. You might be able to emulate it, though.
Isn't it on
It's on
PlayStation?
PS3.
It'd be a bitch to emulate.
It would be, but it would be possible.
Okay, I got all the link bombing done.
Alrighty then.
Alright. Well then.
But no, it's this guy.
Oh yeah, that's pretty evil.
Looks like he belongs in Final Fantasy.
I don't know, I still think the best looking evil bad guy is the bowler hat guy from Meet the Robinsons.
That's fair.
Just because he looks like, your stereotypical cartoon villain.
Alright, introduce yourselves!
Yes, hello everybody. I am Armored Hunter. I play Dancy Boy. Who is rather tired, but he got to do his thing.
You okay, Ash?
Yeah. I'm just slugging down some wonton soup while you guys are reading, and I forgot that I have noise suppression turned off.
Ah. Hello everybody, I'm Danny Boop. And I play the very tired warlock who's just happy they at least got some bit of good news last session.
Yeah, it's a pretty good bit of good news.
Yee.
I am Feldros, I play Felzy, who has all the good news he needs. Currently tied up in a bedroom somewhere.
You know what you do.
That sounds... I am Methosia, and I play Brimstone, who only has one thing to say. The trees are speaking fucking Elvish, explain.
We'll get to that explanation in a moment. Hello, everyone. I'm Ash, the DM. I do the troll face. You can't see it, but I did it.
I'll believe you on that.
My jaw dislocated and scooted 3 inches over to the right.
Tasty.
That's the only way to do the troll face. Anyways, I'm the DM for this group of wonderful individuals. And we're going to pick back up right where we left off, as you all have made your way through the actual border between the lands of Graynham, the domain of man as it is commonly referred to, and the actual lands of the Draic Empire. Already you're feeling this, as described previously, this sort of overwhelming sensation of magic in the air. An almost electric charge that fills your sensations and everything around you with this buzzing energy. It's a little alarming for some of you, just given your context for other situations in which you've experienced this before. Even Travince and Morrigan, both of you who have been through these lands before, it's never something you can quite get used to if you're not native from this place.
Why does the outside feel like my insides?
That's an interesting way to put the feeling.
What do you mean she's basically a magic bomb waiting to go off?
And as for you, you're a literal bomb just waiting to go off.
That's not true. I don't have nearly enough explosives on me for that.
You hear the sound of a pot lid slowly lifting up as Osnig appears with a small acorn grenade.
Like actually, or
Yes.
what?
He heard explosives and he appeared. You're not sure why he's just in a pot.
I'm also not sure why he's here when he's supposed to be back at Graynham, back in the Bastion, learning Common.
He slowly lowers back down into the pot.
Well then.
You open the pot and there's nothing in there.
What the?
Was he ever there to begin with?
This is magic bullshit. Travince, explain.
I can't answer that one. All I can say is that feeling is us entering into the Blossom Kingdom. This place just irradiates magic.
Actually, Javinci, if you'd like to, you can make an Arcana check for this one. Just based
Certainly.
off previous experiences.
That is a
My
nat 20.
goodness, people, stop rolling natural 20s on lore rolls. You guys
have no
always do this.
We have no control over digital fucking code.
Yes, but it's not to reference other games, but why is it with our game, as opposed to every other streamed D&D game, that only on and consistently on lore are natural 20s rolled?
Because we want to know more.
When we see the tag, do you want to know more? We punch the button.
Just give me it.
Why do I picture for everyone else that's figurative, but for Failsy that's actually literal?
Happy ends.
Like it's just some magical. Just would you like to know more? And Failsy just punches it with magic.
No, Failsy just turns into an animated gif of a raccoon begging for food.
Gib, scrabby hands galore.
It's more like the Exterminatus gift, where it's like, hit the button, and it's just a cutout guy just slamming his face into the Exterminatus button.
Also, that moment when you punch your palm with your fist and you rip your skin on your palm.
Nice.
Anyway.
Otherwise, yes. I'm not bleeding. I did actually just rip my the skin of my palm open by doing that.
It's fine.
Yes,
It'll grow back.
I have sharp knuckles.
It'll grow back. It's fine.
Yes. Anyways, you would actually be pretty aware of this, given that you spent quite some time in the Blossom Kingdom specifically, that there are some just random mischievous spirits that will manifest out of nothing, just to make strange illusions happen. Specifically to confuse people.
Oh,
It's
Sorry.
it is literally just the sheer magic of this place manifesting imagination. It's something that can in fact just happen.
right. I just remembered. This place has so much magic that literally illusions, minor illusions can appear, usually with the purpose of just confusing, befuddling, and occasional funny quips.
That seems really inconvenient.
It is, but you end up getting used to it, or at least stop questioning it after a while.
Bales is now leaning in close to Dravenche, staring at his chest like, I don't think it's working.
But
I'm imagining you with boobs. It's not working.
well, the magic does not want to trigger it yet.
Felzy, how hard are you imagining this?
She's not going to try that hard. She's just...
Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard are you imagining this happening?
Not a 5.
For a second, Dravenche has boobs, and then they go away.
Oh, there they are.
Just-
Oh, there they go.
It just nonchalantly looks down, sees them, they disappear. Shrugs. That's so. What ends up happening? Your collective imagination and knowledge can be used to play tricks on your very eyes in this area.
Honestly, that is not too surprising, given the fact that that is something that can be done with Radiance. And Radiance is little but pure magical power.
And thus, Osnig appearing in that pot is really nothing more than an illusion. No, where probably you associate Osnig with explosives.
Well, yeah.
I
He didn't
mean,
really seem to grasp the concept of a gun, but he seemed to understand that the powder explodes and containing it in a small space increases the explosion.
and that
Boom!
led to the illusion.
As long as they stay illusions, I guess that's annoying, but fine.
With a roll of natural 20, if you try really hard, they will physically manifest too.
I'm going to assume Fauzi doesn't know that right now, unless Fauzi rolled
Oh.
that years off.
No, Felzy would have no concept of that. Dravenche and Morrigan would be the only ones to really be aware of this property. And even then, it's not a common occurrence.
All I can say on that matter is really, whenever you do see things, try to act as though they're there, unless proven otherwise. There are many things that can try to trick you into thinking it's an illusion, and then get the upper hand. A shake of a branch could be a dryad about to drop something onto you for either as a joke or as a threat.
Good to know.
Why do I get the distinct feeling that's going to happen to me a lot more than anyone else?
Depends on how much fun they think that they'll have with you.
Because you have a personal association with being bullied by people around you?
I don't know if that's a legitimate question or not.
Well, you're the one who asks. She just stares at you blankly. I hate to break the tension, but didn't Mr. Granum say that someone had to like guide this pack animal?
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, we can't always trust that there's going to be roads, as often as people do travel through this area.
Well, I ain't never been here before, so,
Oh,
I think that kind of falls to you, Da Vinci.
Where are we going anyway?
we're first going to arrive to Petalfall, which is on the eastern side of northeastern side of the country. A little further north, and you end up amongst some of the elven colonies. That's a very fun time, but I don't think we have the time for that.
Yeah, depending on how things go.
Hmm.
All right.
But we are heading towards Petalfall, so I'll go and stay up on top.
All right. So Jarinche is going to man the reins.
Yeah.
All right. Luckily, at this stage, you are still traveling on the trade road, which you would be aware does, if you continue along this trade road to the north, it does essentially make a loop throughout the 4 major settlements in the Torres. When your own words you made up tongue tie you. The Terrestra forest. So you know that as long as you keep on this main road, then you will hit Petalfall. But it's probably best to still guide your cart to make sure that people don't just think you're an abandoned wagon rolling along the road, or if anything interesting happens, you could catch it.
Yep. And also, he knows that if something were to try to fool the mount, that could potentially be devastating.
Yeah. You're not sure if these mounts can be fooled, but it's better safe than sorry. So, on that note, I would like for you to roll a d20 as we're determining potential events of the first day of travel.
That's a 15.
Alrighty then.
Vinci finds drugs.
Revenge goes through the field of the poppy and falls asleep.
Alright, so first day of travel. I'd like for you to roll a perception check.
Okay. Perception 11.
Alrighty then. Over the course of this first day of travel you head through, you do have this sort of strange nagging sensation that you're being watched. It persists through most of the morning, though it seems to fade into the early afternoon.
How many trees are surrounding the road at this point?
Directly surrounding the road, not many. The road itself is about. It's just under 20 feet wide because this is still a major trade road, and it is properly cobblestoned. You can see the deep grooves in which the wagon wheels roll along. The actual tree line cover that surrounds this, it has been cut back to give a border of at least 20 feet on both sides of the road.
Okay.
Yeah. You get the sensation that if anything were trying to be stealthily approaching you, that they would have to cross, at least at this point, relatively low density grasses to get to you.
Yeah, so just keeping an eye out, keeping an eye for the trees and occasionally looking under the cart.
Yeah.
But keeping things moving along as usual.
Alrighty then. Alright, can you give me another d20 roll?
Certainly. And 11.
And 11. Alrighty. The rest of the day persists without that feeling approaching again. Whether it was just a wayward spirit or potentially some animal in the woods looking at you, maybe stalking the cart from a distance, you're uncertain, but you don't get the sensation again. And this day has gone by uneventfully. Since I know there's a crafting station in the cart now, is anyone wanting to have made use of it over the course of the day?
If there's anything that I really want to do, but I can't really think of anything.
Something that I forgot that I wanted to do while I was still in Granum. I'm not sure if I can retroactively buy it now.
Depends on what it is. I might be kind.
Another puzzle box from Emia's shop.
Let me see. Did she have any more of those in stock? I have to actually grab my book that has her store inventory.
Why am I picturing there's just like a little library of notebooks behind you? Of all your different stores and NPCs?
I will eventually take a picture of it, but I do literally have a tower of books, like, on my dresser that is full of different campaign notes, not only for this campaign, but for Ada, our Sunday Ryutama game, and then a lot of them specifically for this campaign, which is many disparative notes.
Being fair.
All right then. Because I think you had bought most of what you had previously, but you might have restocked. Okay, yeah, she would have had one puzzle box in stock.
Ew.
It would have been a 250 gold puzzle box.
Well, Felsy's out of puzzle boxes, so she'll buy it to satiate her puzzle fix.
All right. Note down that this is a 3 success puzzle box with a DC 18. I'm going to start giving you that information so I don't have to remember what puzzle box you're holding. Because that makes it far easier for my note-taking purposes.
That's fair.
That's what I was... Oh, right, she's got a clockwork wall I need to add to a picture.
But yeah, note down that you bought that, and if you want to, you can make a... this would be an Arcana check or investigation check of your choice.
Puzzle box. DC 18.
Yes, DC 18, and it requires 3 successes to open.
Any distinguishing features?
Let's see. Let me randomly roll this one, because I just wrote down its DC. I have a bunch of blank descriptive notes here. Distinguishing features for this one are that it seems to have many geometric features on the outside of it. This puzzle box almost appears to be less of a standard rectangular puzzle box and more along the lines of a complicated dodecahedron-shaped object that must be turned and rotated.
Okay, so it's the Hellraiser box.
Similar, but it's shaped like a D12. Because I have to remind myself that a dodecahedron is a D12, not a D20.
Yeah, D20 isn't icosahedron.
Yes. Because I think dodecad, I'm just like 210.
Exactly, instead of 12.
Okay, got it.
But yeah.
So it's basically a more complicated limit configuration.
Nope.
Yeah. I actually am thinking about this one a bit similarly to how the my favorite puzzle item in any of film media I've ever seen, the map from Treasure Planet turns around.
Yeah, fair.
Where like the individual panels of it can be pushed in. That is unfortunately a failure.
Yeah.
You don't need to note failures, only successes.
I thought it was Arcana, not Investigation.
It could be Arcana or Investigation.
Oh,
instead.
okay.
It's
For
the same
fails,
one.
it's the same either way.
With these puzzle boxes, you can either come at them from a viewpoint of having an arcane understanding of them or purely a mechanical understanding of them.
At the moment, she's sort of trying to suss out the physical mechanics.
Yeah. Because Game Master makes these, so you could look at them either via the arcane or the mechanical. But alright then.
Just sort of sitting there fiddling with the puzzle box with Avis.
You say Mavis?
Animus? I'm trying to.
Animus.
I had the name written down. I read it for a second.
Yeah.
Alvis.
The
is
little robot that was Necessity's
Animus.
name is Animus, yeah.
Yes, and we're trying to track down her creator, which is Concerta.
Yeah.
Animus, which is Greek, or which is Latin for soul.
Yes.
Why do I have Alvis written down?
Alvis
That's
is
Good
one of
fucking
the
question, Captain.
Alvis and Puccino are the people who made the clock tower.
Yep.
And side note, but this is something you'd be able to figure out through idle conversation. Concerta is actually one of Alvis's apprentices.
Yep.
And maybe descended, though that's debated. It is known that she followed in his work, though. All right, but the rest of the day goes by uneventfully. Lee cooks you all a good dinner with his stock of ingredients, and I'm going to roll to see if you guys get a bonus feature for the next day.
With his cookly powers.
Unfortunately, not. It is just delicious food.
Yee.
Not grant any additional benefits.
Oh, if only this was Ryutama, we'd get +1 to our condition check for the next day.
Yeah, I will admit I've actually restructured how I do my day-to-day traveling for you guys based on how
Ryutama.
Yes.
Nice.
Because it makes things more interesting and actually lets me roll on my massive encounter table that has very littly been touched on throughout this entire campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Ryutama is just a good system in general.
It's a very good system, even if it does have some flaws that make it a little repetitive at times. But we're working on that.
Yeah.
All right. The next day's travel. Would someone else like to man the D20 roll to see if any events happen today?
I'll do it.
All right.
Give me a
Go
second.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead and roll 2d20.
Okay. Basically, player, this is Brimstone. Like, I don't want to be in there today. I'll be out here with you. 3 and 4.
All right, 3 and 4. All right. The weather is seeming to take a bit of a nasty turn this day. As you all are making your travel through the forest around here, luckily the road underfoot is properly cobblestoned. But were it not, you'd be worried that you couldn't make any progress today due to the sheer amount of mud that starts being produced and caked up around you. Where is my rain? There's my rain soundtrack.
Of course. As soon as I step out of here, everything seems to go to shit, doesn't it?
Question. Yeah. Is it possible for Da Vinci to be continuously casting gusts to blow water away from landing on him?
Given the fact that it's verbal and somatic, if he just keeps saying gust, gust, gust every 6 seconds, then sure he could.
Just the pettiness of I don't want to get wet.
I mean, you are on a carriage that is covered on the front, so you're not getting directly rained on. But it's like
okay.
splashing up onto your like shoes. Like there's a bit of mud being kicked up as your I can't remember if you guys actually decided to call it Jeeves or not.
That was kind of left on the back burner.
I don't know if we actually ended up naming him.
I guess
Well-
Jeeves is.
It's Jeeves for now then, until it's actually given a name. That's a placeholder. Yeah, but occasionally there's some mud kicked up as Jeeves' heavy footfalls do squelch up some dirty filth from the road back upwards towards you. And there is some rain that will occasionally drip over the edge of the covered portion of the driver's seat and fall onto your shoes. But otherwise, you're mostly protected.
Just constantly using magic to blow the mud off of his shoes.
It's mildly successful.
Are you really that concerned by appearances, Trevenchard?
It's better to arrive looking good than to arrive looking like a mess.
Is that like a recommendation or like something I should actually consider?
It can be both. It really depends on who and what we run into. There are people here who couldn't give even a second thought towards the way you look, and others will base their entire set of interactions on you from the moment they glance. They take a glance. So it really depends on what we end up running up across.
Okay, maybe let me phrase it a different way. Are the people that you know gonna care if we look like we've just been on the road for a long time?
Yes.
Damn it. Okay. I make no promises.
Okay. We'll try to make sure to stop to stop by a bath, or you can at least use some of my soap.
Yeah.
All right. As the day progresses on, the rain only seems to get worse. Not quite to the point of being a flood-worthy downpour, but to the point that it beating across the hot earth is actually starting to produce a foggy mist around the cart that is kind of obscuring your viewpoint.
I've kind of seen this around the Hellmouth once or twice.
Yes, it's especially after a one of those really nasty storms. It can be rather
Yeah.
interesting to look up on the Hellmouth and see all the evaporation.
Yeah.
Almost like a storm after the storm.
Yeah. I don't really know if I could really look up at it now, though.
Yeah, this is rather rather annoying if it ends up getting thick enough to block the view of the road.
I can't see anything through this, so anything sneaks up on us, well, rain's gonna cover its footsteps. Fog's gonna cover anything we can see. Might be able to see through the dark, but I can't really see through mist.
Yeah. There was something that was following us for a while the other day, but so keep an eye and ear out for that.
I'll do what I can, but again, rain this hard, really easy to hide in.
Yep. I am aware.
Alrighty then. I'd like for both of you to make perception checks.
20.
We both rolled 18s on the die.
Nice. Which is good. Alright. You are both actually aware as you do see forming in the slight distance from the cart small pinpoints of light. Slightly off to the side of the road from where you're positioned. And the road seems to thin where you currently are, as if
Willow
traveled less.
You know this place better than I do, which venture. You think that's Willow Wisps?
Do they look like Willow Wisps?
I mean, depends, honestly. It can be kind of hard to tell unless you can actually see the sort of fiery appearance of a will-o-wisp. But it definitely is setting your sensation for such things a bit on edge.
Can't really tell through the mist, but anything that does produce a glowing light in the middle of a rainstorm is something to be at least wary about.
Yeah, that's all I'm thinking.
Let's try to give them a wide berth if we can.
Yeah. What's our rough visibility out to?
All right, your rough visibility is currently with this mist. What is your passive perception?
11.
Then roughly 10 feet.
Okay.
Your passive perception is roughly what you can see in front of you with a mist this thick.
Gotcha.
Ah, so for our party, all garbage.
Yeah, all pretty garbage. Pretty garb.
The person that can see the best out of all of us isn't here right now. We gotta go pick her up.
Maybe Jamal.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know what a passive perception is.
Well, she's not out of the cart right now, so it doesn't matter.
Also true.
All right. I hate to do this, but I suddenly really need to use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
That's fair.
Okay.
All right. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves for like 2 minutes.
Your imminent doom will be right back after this break.
Just after these messages.
Come back. One of the drivers are now dead. What happened? Oops.
Now, which
Alright.
one would end up dead?
It's like you missed
Probably
the
you, because I have more health. Depends on if you can get your momentum up. Because if you can get your momentum up, then you have a better chance of surviving. Just do that. You know.
It depends if Ash wants to subscribe to the Wharf effect. Brimstone seems stronger, so beat the fuck out of him to make his monster seem stronger.
Brimstone has more health.
And that's what I usually did on Star Trek, is whenever I
All right, I'm back.
and then beat the fuck out of the Klingon.
Yeah, beat the fuck out of Worf because he's probably the strongest 1 pound for pound.
I have returned.
Welcome back.
Oh no.
Sorry about that. Alrighty then.
We weren't planning anything, I swear.
I heard beat the fuck out of Worf.
We were wondering if you're going to subscribe to the Wharf effect and have whatever creature you want to throw at us beat the hell out of Brimstone to make him seem like a legitimate threat.
Because Brimstone seems like the stronger of the two.
Just punches Brimstone in the face.
What the fuck?
Alright. I do actually need the both of you to make another perception check. This one, unfortunately, at disadvantage.
Okay.
Okay. That is an 18 still.
13.
It was a nat 20 on the other side.
Well, you're not allowed to have it.
I
Not
know.
this time. You've already had too many.
I only had one.
And that's
But
one
what about
too
second
many.
But what about second nat 20?
11sies?
Alright. Alright. So, Brimstone doesn't notice this about to happen, but Dervinche does. As you all continue traveling along, those lights at some point do just vanish. And for a while, for 10, 20 minutes, that does leave you with a sense of, okay, that's past. Before, very suddenly, they appear again right next to the cart. And Brimstone, unfortunately, because you didn't notice them, they are going to be able to get an attack off against you.
AC 17, I believe? Yeah.
Alrighty.
They don't benefit from unseen attacker, though. No. No, actually they would.
Alright. So this,
I don't see them. It's not that they're invisible.
yeah, they're not invisible, they just... You just did not
Take
notice them.
notice. Yeah, exactly.
Well, technically they could have become invisible, but this was more just them approaching discreetly.
Mm.
Alright. This is a multi-attack.
Like I said, AC 17.
Well, I need that dice back. underside of my desk. One of these days, I'm actually going to get a dice tray. All right. That will be 2 hits. As I'm going to switch us over to a little bit of combat music.
Ooh.
That was a good damage roll. My goodness.
How much total?
I'm doing math right now.
Okay.
That's always a bad sign.
270. I'm dead like 6 times over.
This was the stealth episode for introducing Soviet Squidward.
Soviet Squidman. No,
2
but
characters have to die.
don't worry, Patton's already dead.
Yeah, Patton's already dead.
I killed him off screen to get Soviet Squidman in the game.
Oh, yes, hello, I am Soviet. God. Fails you just you eat brains too? What?
Though Dookie, this is something to note. Brimstone just took 21 points of lightning damage.
Oh fuck!
Yeah,
Oof.
that's a third of my health.
As we begin combat. Currently, only Dravinche and Brimstone are engaged in this.
Did we just hear the thunder crack? Oh,
Yeah, but it's also raining outside, so it just sounded like lightning struck.
Yeah, until someone kicks in the door at the front, just fucking lightning shits here.
Yes. I'm going to move you all over to the battle map.
get this.
And getting a turn order, which I forgot to delete from the previous one. So, Dravinche and Brimstone, can you just place yourselves just around the cart position?
Where is the cart?
You know, you do not get placed.
Oh no, I was trying to find the cart because it's not. My screen was zoomed in too far.
It's in the bottom right-hand corner. Yeah, cart's not accurate to proper size because it's hard to do in D&D maps.
Motherfucker.
I was somewhere near the corner screen. It's like, okay, cart. Where is cart?
Oh, luckily this thing rolled really poor on its initiative, but it has a ridiculous dex modifier.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, that is
As Dravinche, you are aware of this. This is a Wisp Swarm. Essentially, a bunch of Willow Wisps that have gathered together and move as a pack.
Okay.
I know I said I was going to change the music, but I'm having to update a bunch of information in the background.
They have the same dexterity as a Will-O-Wisp. They go before I do.
Yeah, they do.
Because Will-O-Wisps have like a 28.
I hate to say this, but there's literally no way they'd go after you do. It is quite literally impossible for them to roll lower than you.
Not with that roll. If I'd have rolled
However,
better.
They did still roll fairly poorly. They rolled a 3. Luckily, Will-O-Wisps don't gain any bonus to their attack or damage modifiers from their dexterity.
Yeah.
That would be a problem.
Because it's a spell attack.
Yeah. Which technically they would be here. So could you two actually flip your positions?
Yeah.
Because Brimstone was the one who ended up getting hit by them. Oh, you became one. Alright. Now
I
let's
don't think that would work very well.
We just perform the fusion and then separate immediately.
Yeah.
Both of you just like, I hate this feeling.
Yeah, just immediate rejection from both sides.
Brimvinche.
The name works. Have some Halo music.
If they use the Patara stones, Drovastone.
Drovastone doesn't work as well.
Is it
Alright.
is it like actual Halo music, or is it something that sounds like Halo music?
Anytime I hear that, oh, type
That's
sound
fair.
at the beginning of a song, it makes me think of the Halo theme.
But
No,
Yeah.
not actually. This is by Kevin MacLeod.
okay.
Don't
Good.
worry, I only use free use music on this stream.
Okay. I don't need a DMCA claim on my channel. 3 of those, they could decide to delete it, and I'm just out of luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry, I won't do that. Trust me. I wish I didn't have to think about that, but I won't do it. We stream these for
Anyway.
posterity, so we can. Anyways,
Thank you.
the Rovince. You see Brimstone get absolutely tasered.
Well, he will ready his weapons. So he will, for his bonus action, speak the command of Tempia.
Alright, you ignite your weapon.
And twirling off the cart, he's going to attempt to strike down upon this thing.
Alrighty then. Let's go ahead and have us an attack roll.
17.
Unfortunately misses. As you bring your cutlass down into this swarm of wisps, you pass through them, and unfortunately, each individual one seems to be agile enough to avoid your blade's hit.
Okay. Creep. Well, that's all he can do right now.
Oh, you established some stuff going on. Alright then. The Wisp Swarm. It's going to divide its multi-attack among the two of you now.
Okay. So it to be clear, is one swarm of them, yeah?
Yes, it is one swarm of them with a 2-attack multi-attack.
Gotcha. Okay. I just wasn't sure because it looked like there might be 2 of them. But, okay.
No, that's a single thing. It's just stretched out wide because I wanted it to look good on the map.
Gotcha.
Alright, let's see.
I don't think Dravinci has any momentum.
No.
No, because he missed the attack.
Oh.
Okay, so that would be a total of 10 to hit Brimstone, which I'm pretty sure misses.
10 misses.
Alright. And
I think
a
Dravinci has
7
this.
and a 17 to hit Dravinci?
Dravinci will cast Shield.
Alright. You cast forth a barrier appearing around yourself as the electricity of these wisps sparks out towards you. Alrighty. Ow, 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 ow. Making sure they don't have anything else they do in this. Alright. That will end the wisp turn. Brimstone.
There's a door, like, to the cart behind us, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. That can be
Just like
open.
how the previous one has.
Okay. That's like an object interaction to open, yeah?
Yeah, Yes, you can use your object interaction to open it as opposed to using your actual action.
Okay. Yeah, just open it and just, we've got company! And then, draw the revolver and take a couple shots.
Alright. I hate to be the person to point this out, but can you unstow a weapon without your object interaction?
Technically, your object interaction is used when you're doing stuff like drawing your weapon.
Okay. then.
Okay.
I'd say you can use your bonus action to pull out your revolver.
That's fine.
I'll be nice.
That's fine.
I know you don't actually have quick draw, but
Yeah,
A
I
little
won't
bit.
get that. Yeah, I won't get that for a while. Okay. Yeah, I'll just take a couple shots.
Alrighty then. Let's see how you fan the hammer.
One. Pretty sure that misses.
It does.
That was just above a misfire too. That also misses.
Also, just so I can know, what are you currently loaded with?
Just regular.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, I'll try to remember to put it in the. If I have special ammo, I'll put it in the reload little area.
Thank you. Just let me know whenever you've got it loaded with something that isn't just normal bullets, because it's important for damage resistance notes.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Unfortunately, Brimstone, as you pull, you're still feeling the effects of that pretty nasty tasering you received a second ago. So even as you are pulling out your gun to try to take your shots, your hand just does not feel steady enough to properly hit, and the bullets go wide. Do you want to move or stay where you are? At this point, you're still basically sitting at the front of the cart.
I mean, if I moved, I got an opportunity attack on me.
Not only if you move out of threat range.
Like 5 feet back, but that's probably enough.
Yeah. That would be moving you out of threat range.
Yeah, not worth it. Okay, that's my turn.
Alrighty. This would move us past initiative count 20. Everyone, Brimstone just called into the cart saying that there was a problem. Who, if any, would like to react?
Well, there's blood in the air, so Ferg's out the door.
Alrighty then. Does Morrigan also react?
Yes.
Alright, I need you both to roll initiative. Place yourselves on the field and roll initiative, but you do not exit the cart until your turn has passed after this turn.
Okay.
Having trouble actually grabbing my token.
11.
Grip token.
So I was grabbing the picture, and it wasn't actually taking it. I have to actually grab the name.
Yeah, roll 20 is weird. Hey, roll yourself some niche.
Initiative is over there.
Here. Okay then. Descending order. So keep in mind, Morrigan and Failsy, you do not get a turn in this round, but you will get a turn next round.
Okay.
Dravince.
Dravince, seeing Brimstone kind of not aiming so hot, is going to shout, "Let's get you back to a better position." And he will cast Knight's Move, using his second level spell to teleport Brimstone, let's say right here.
Off the cart.
Well, he gets to choose where he teleports.
Uh,
That creature can use its reaction to teleport 30 feet to an unoccupied space.
okay, you go where you want.
Yeah, I'll just move. Yeah, probably back a little further. Yeah. The second part doesn't activate because there's nothing within 5 feet of me.
Yep.
Which is fine.
Then he's going to swing 23.
That does hit.
Okay, so that's 5 piercing and 9 fire damage. And that triggers his crescendo. And leaping from the flame tongue dagger out of the fire comes more fire.
It's more fire!
Okay, and this would have plus
Okay.
momentum. So that'd be 12 fire damage additional.
Alright, due to its inherent resistances, it does take the full amount of the piercing damage from your flame tongue dagger, but takes half the fire damage due to its natural resistance to flame. So take 5 points of piercing damage, and then a total of 10 points of fire damage. Still respectable.
Yeah.
So total 15 points. That puts it down to that.
Arnold, can I point out you had a bit of a dyslexic moment with Flame Tongue Dagger? You wrote
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, how it's Dageger.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
I
saw
spelled it correct. I spelled it correctly the second time on my cheat, but not the first time.
Dageger. Dageger actually does sound like a weird dwarven word.
Right. But does Dravinci speak Dwarvish? That's the real question.
I don't
No, he heard it. He heard a dwarf
Yeah.
say it and thought it was a cool name, though.
Yeah, I think the only one of us who does is Morrigan.
Yeah.
Alright.
I know I speak 2 languages, and that's the languages everyone does.
Alright, Dravinci now has a momentum point, which means he now has his weird sparkly skirt activated.
Yes.
So let's see if they can hit him.
He's activated the way of Shakira. His hips don't lie.
Shakira! Alright, a 9 doesn't hit you. That one just went off the table. Let's do that again. And there it goes again. But it didn't go off the table this time, so at least I can hold it. That would be a total 18, with a 14 and a natural 20 being the results. So you avoided a natural 20.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, no kidding.
Shield.
Oh, Mr. Spins his spells. Okay. Alrighty then.
How many spells does a spellcaster get?
They're a half-caster.
So
Yes.
he's got a couple more in the bank.
I don't think many.
It's currently looking at Dravinci and the fact that it seems to be having difficulty hitting him. And it's going... Some of the swarm is going to reposition itself. Not moving out of his threat range, but moving towards Brimstone again, who they were able to shock readily before. Morrigan, you exit the card at this point. You do not get to take an action, but you can move into a position you'd like. Note that you would start on this square.
Okay. I was trying to move my token there when you did it.
Yeah. Essentially what's happening is you have to dash in order to get out of the cart and into the field of combat.
Okay. Well, she'll just hop down to over here.
Alrighty.
And if that's all I can do this turn, then end turn.
Alrighty. Brimstone. Morrigan has joined you in the fray. But the wisps seem to be tracking you. This might be a problem.
The immediate thought would be, hey, we can knock them down, but it's a swarm.
Yeah, unfortunately,
From-
swarms pretty much are invulnerable to prone.
And also, Willow Wisps don't really have
They're not
a
really
concept of
tangible.
falling. Yeah. Just 2 more shots.
Alright. Spin the barrel. Let's see what you get. That'll hit.
That one actually hits. I'll roll the second one anyways. That one misses. Okay. For 15 max damage.
Alright, 15 max damage. Unfortunately, it's not magical in this case, so it's halved, but Still good damage. Because I don't think your revolver is magical.
The only magical weapon I have is a sword or a gun that I can only fire 5 more times.
Yeah,
Because
very
it
magical
shoots
weapon.
time.
Because it shoots whatever it is. Okay,
It
so
shoots time.
half of 15 would be 7, because I round down. Then I have to perform a math. Don't you just love when you gotta perform a math? There we go. Math has been performed. Do you have anything for bonus action, or do you want to try to move?
No, not yet.
Okay. Failsy. Move yourself to the starting position, and then you have 30 feet of movement to place yourself wherever you'd like to on the field.
I guess I'll right out into this field.
I mean, I guess you would have like a bonus action if you have anything for that.
In this case, I'm giving them just the movement to position.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's fair.
Seeing this, am I able to make a history or nature check to determine if this can be affected by fear? Are you scared?
That would be more of a religion or arcana check.
Okay. I didn't know which type of check that would be.
They're technically spirits.
Yeah.
Nature would be, I guess, applicable, but not per your school of expertise. I see. You move in such a way to not provoke opportunity attacks. Smart.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone out of the clown car. Come on, come on.
It is a bit of a clown car.
Bailey has no idea, so I'm going to ignore trying to scare these things.
You don't know if they can be scared. Also, there's a bunch of little things together, so you don't know how it would even work.
Yeah.
Alright. Drovince, back around to you.
Sees the swarm flowing past him to Brimstone. What? You can't handle when something outshines you? It's going to move to this position and start a swinging.
Alrighty then.
So that's an 18.
Just misses.
Okay, followed up with another 18.
Unfortunately, also just misses.
Just double check a thing. Okay. And that's it for him.
Alrighty. It is now the Wisp Swarm's turn. It was going after Brimstone, but now there's another target here, so it'll again pit one of its attacks against Brimstone and one of them against Morgan. This black dice will be against Morgan, this blue dice will be against Brimstone, because I don't have a green dice at hand. Okay, so that would be an 18 to hit Brimstone.
Damn it.
And a 14 to hit Morgan.
Miss.
Alright. Alright, Brimstone, that is... Just quickly performing math. That is 11 points of lightning damage. As one of these wisps essentially flies through your chest. How... Feeling, buddy?
I am standing.
Fair. That's the end of their turn as they try to regroup now. Munagun. One of them just tasered at a Brimstone.
Yeah, hour and minute are coming out.
All right, you summon forth Hour and Minute.
Just checking.
Which means if you were using a shield, keep in mind you can't use a shield with 2 weapons in hand.
I don't have a shield equipped right now.
Alright, I'm just making sure that that's noted.
Yeah. I don't even have a shield on my character sheet. Well, I do, but I don't have it equipped.
Yeah, because I remember you have a shield because you were trying to train Keta how to use one.
Yeah. Okay. Because of Thirsting Blade, I get to attack twice.
Yep.
So we're gonna go in first with Hour.
That'll hit.
Do you want me to just go ahead and roll both attacks and then roll damages? Yeah. Okay, and
Yeah.
then once with Minute.
That'll
What the
also
fuck? Okay.
You're in sync.
Okay, so here's the damage for Hour. And these would
Alright.
count as magical, I would assume.
Yep.
Hope so.
And it's one-handed with Minute, so it would be the 10.
Alrighty.
Pretty much any +1 weapon is magical.
It
I
is
don't-
actually possible to make a non-magical +1 weapon. They do exist in the canon. They're just really uncommon. They're not actually supposed to be, but no one uses them, so they're really uncommon. So a total of 18 points of piercing and slashing damage from a magical source, so they're not reduced.
I doubt they were concentrating on spells or anything like that.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be a spellcaster.
Okay, so I can just ignore the stuff I get from Mage Slayer.
For now, yes.
Okay.
Alright, Brimstone, I'm going to go ahead and move it to your turn, though I am still doing math. So think about what you're doing. Unless you had a bonus action thing you wanted to do, Morrigan.
I mean, the only bonus action spell I have is Misty Step, and... Yeah, I know that...
Could do offhand weapon attack.
Oh, I didn't mean to send it into there.
It's fine.
I'm not casting, it's just that I clicked it because I was trying to get the information for me to read it myself.
I get you.
See, it seems kind of wasteful to use it just to get on the other side of them to possibly grant, like, I don't know. I don't know how flanking
you.
works with these things.
I personally don't normally do flanking against swarms because you aren't actually dividing its attention.
That's fair.
It's a bunch of individual creatures. Or more in the sense that you're literally able to divide its attention. It's focusing fully on you or fully on the other target.
Yeah.
Not having to split attention between them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could just Hexblade's curse it. I don't know if that'll do anything to it, though.
You could, but that's up to you. You don't have to.
I'll just call turn for right now.
Alrighty then. Brimstone.
Well, the gun didn't seem to do anything.
It did something. It just
At
didn't
least-
seem to do much.
Yeah. It didn't really have the results I was hoping for. Can't really use the other gun. These things are evil little gremlins.
Fushigi!
And they're speaking Elvish at me. And I don't appreciate that.
That's a goblin word.
I don't know the difference.
Fair. Goblinoid text is actually in Elvish. Interestingly enough.
So, as we found out previously, evil little gremlins don't like the sword.
You are correct. Evil little gremlins do not like the sword.
And evil big gremlins like Failsy. So, we're gonna use the sword. Because
All
fuck
right.
these things.
Brimstone pulls out the sword for the first time ever.
Because these fuckers won't leave me alone.
Alrighty then. The Blade of Oceanic Order. Fun note, you're fighting a chaotic entity.
Ah, I know. They're nasty little gremlins.
All right.
Brimstone doesn't explicitly know. But he can have a good assumption. Okay.
Do you have all the notes for the Blade of Oceanic Order? Because I don't have that next to me right now.
I have it in our DMs. Let me go find it.
Because it does stuff.
I ended up just writing special items as feats
What did I do?
onto my character feat if I ever needed to reference them again.
I thought it did too. I don't think it does anything specifically unless it's empowered, though.
I need to delete
Dude, I thought I sent you the full details for it. I'll have to find my notes for it later. Because I for sure know that it's supposed to do extra stuff against chaotic creatures.
Mm-hmm.
I know chaotic creatures do not like it when Felzy's itching skin now.
Oh, no, you're far enough away from it that that's not a problem.
Ah, good.
No, but Da
Morgan.
Vinci is getting a little unnerved.
Yeah, just leave it.
Oh wait, no, Morgan's neutral, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yep, neutral good.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, I don't think it does anything special on us.
I know it does, but I don't have it in front of me, so...
Okay.
It's a magical sword for the purposes of this. Until
Yeah.
I go back and find everything.
Okay. Mass. That one.
Ah, time to roll severity. Let's see how close I roll to another one. That's an 8. Alrighty then. It's not below a 5 though, so it's just a miss. I don't know if I've ever explained that table to anyone in this game.
I don't think so, because I don't think it's ever gone below a 5.
Yeah, essentially, I'll just go ahead and cover this. If it is a 20, you get a chance to re-roll your attack. Basically, there's some little effects that can possibly happen, but or if it's a 16 or above, you get a chance to re-roll your attack. 15 to 6 is you just miss. Below a 5 is, or 5 to 4, or 5 to 2 is a miss and potentially drop your weapon, or a natural 1 is hit your allies.
You accidentally throw your sword and hit Felzy.
It can happen. It can happen. You could throw a sword at someone, slip right out of your hands. Anyways, unfortunately, Brimstone, you miss when you swing with your blade.
Probably because I haven't put the revolver away, because I don't have my object interaction. So I'm trying to swing while not also accidentally shooting myself in the fucking foot.
Yeah, carefully stowing that revolver took just long enough for this thing to realize you were pulling out a sword.
I guess I'll use my bonus action for second wind.
Alright. You just give a quick and puff out your blood.
Jesus.
Well,
That puts me at half.
what? It's your first time ever doing it. You're not used to it.
It's my first time doing it in a while.
Yeah. Alright then. That's your turn?
I don't have anything else to do other than movement, and this thing's gonna fucking hit me if I do.
Fair. Alrighty then. Failsy, it has become your turn.
Yeah?
Sorry, keep going.
Felzy's been practicing a spell. She's gonna scare the shit out of Brimstone. Summon Shadow Spirit.
Alright.
Do you have the material component?
Yes, I bought that on the way out. on the way out of Raynham.
Yes, that was part of Failsy's shopping that they did. Yeah, Failsy basically became pretty poor again.
I mean, fair.
And she's
Spent
picking right.
basically all of her money on material components and items. Alright, so you're picking Rage?
Yes, there is a really angry, like, I am going to throttle your throat with my teeth, angry Failsy sits standing right next to Brimstone.
Alright. So Brimstone, suddenly forming as if from the ether next to you, the mist seems to coalesce into a very beastly, draconic-looking Failsy. Less humanoid and more that of a monster. Alrighty
It's
then.
Failsy we all knew she would be.
I'm assuming you have its stat blocks?
Yes.
Alright.
I wonder if this thing can reveal how much health it has. If that works.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that
Anyways.
works with PT.
Alright then, so... Creature is friendly to Failsy and her companions for the spell's duration. In combat, the creature takes Failsy's initiative count, but takes it immediately after Failsy.
That works for this.
Alright, so it would then, if you end your turn, it would then be its turn.
Cute. I'm just going to quickly pull up a notepad so I can remember its health. I've got its health written down, I just need to pull when it loses health.
Alrighty then. And bear in mind, you're currently concentrating on this spell.
Yeah. That's too many. 37 health. And I've lost all the pages. Yeah,
I'll do this one for concentrating, because it looks like someone holding their head and screaming. That's what it feels like to concentrate on something. Alright, so, does Failsy issue a command?
Slaughter the wisps.
Alright. Shame. Alright, so it takes its turn right after yours. What does it do? You get to describe this.
Basically, using bestial claws, it starts ripping and tearing into the cloud of wisps. If
Oh,
it can.
Lord. Yeah.
If I program this right.
I should give you like a separate character sheet to represent these things.
Make some new tokens of angry, scared, and depressed.
Just always just the darkened out Failsy, but just give you a character sheet to put all of their attacks on.
That's what I've actually made.
Okay, good.
Killing Rend.
Unfortunately, that is going to miss.
And it only has one multi-attack at the moment.
So it has one attack, not a multi-attack.
Got a skill for multi-attack, but it's equal to half the spell level, rounded down.
Okay.
So if I up the spell level, it can do multi-attack.
Yeah, you have to at least cast it with a spell level of 4 or higher to get multi-attack then.
As it taps out at 4, at 3.
Alrighty then. That is Failsy's turn then. Drovinche.
Drovinche, continuing his dance of battling and dancing,
Okay, then that still works.
is going to attempt to stab.
Give us a stab. That is a stab!
That is very much a stab. So that is going to be 11 piercing.
Slashing, but okay.
Or slashing, right.
So that would be 13 slashing.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I
Alright.
did the math wrong.
It's all good.
13 slashing.
You're noticing now as the swarm of wisps seems to be dissipating, but some of them still holding.
Arcing from the sword's blade comes a bolt of lightning. That's a 26
That'll hit.
for 13 lightning damage.
Alright. Unfortunately, you notice as your lightning streaks out from your blade into the wisp from the point of contact of your slash, the wisps do not seem to react at all to the lightning. Wisps are immune to lightning damage.
Fair enough, fair enough. And as his bonus action, going to attempt an offhand attack. That's going to be a 24.
That'll hit.
For 3 piercing, 5 fire, and similar to sneak attack, I have no idea where the momentum gets added into.
I'm applying it to the base, like the base physical damage of the weapon, as opposed to any magical damage that it would have.
Fair enough. So that'd be 6 piercing and 5 fire.
Yeah, because the fire or any extra element creeps around the blade. Your momentum is literally how fast the blade is moving.
Yes. He is
So that
dancing
would be-
super fast.
Yeah, that would then be. That would make that 6 points of piercing damage, and this thing would only take half the fire. So that would round that down to 2. So a total of 8 points of damage. It is still just barely holding on.
He's spamming strikes faster than dual blades user.
How dare you? Alrighty then.
Spin.
Speed! Alright. It is well and truly surrounded and feeling on its last legs. The best it can hope to do is try to go after the things it knows it can hit. Maybe drop them and eat them. Actually gonna roll its intelligence to see if it's gonna try going after the Failsy clone now. Instead of maybe Morrigan, because Morrigan blocked its attack previously. That Failsy clone is looking pretty angry. It's going to wage one attack against the Failsy clone and one attack against Brimstone. And I'm sorry, Brimstone, but you've been the only thing it's been able to reliably hit, so it keeps going after you. But it hits neither thing. And I need to roll severity. It misses. Because I just rolled a 2 and a 1.
It throws its weapon, which is itself somehow.
It escapes the battle because it throws itself out of combat. Alrighty then. Well, that's its turn, more or less wasted. Morrigan.
Good.
Second verse, same as the first from last turn, going in with minute, then hour.
Minute. Hour. Minute. Hour.
Tick tock, tick tock.
Okay.
Alright, that is a hit.
Should I even bother rolling hour?
Roll damage, just to see.
Okay.
I don't think it matters. Yeah, it doesn't matter. How would you like to do this?
Morgan just... It's like, okay, we need to finish this up, and just kind of does a bit of a flourish with minute before slashing it through the last of the swarm.
Fair enough. You make a quick flourishing dash of your blade through the remaining members of the swarm. and watch as the individual entities are absorbed into the blade, as it has done before in the presence of ghostly entities. And the combat is concluded.
Huh. Are there any more lights in the distance around us?
Aside from the occasional actual streak of lightning you can see in the distance, no.
Seems we're in the clear. Brimstone, how are you holding up?
I was fine.
Okay, you get back in the cart
Yeah.
to tend to your wounds.
Can I harvest anything from the pile of wispy goo that's now on the ground?
You do actually notice that there is some remnant from the wisps. A thin, powdery substance now lay on the ground.
Can I try
Oh
to-
boy. Oh boy, fairy cocaine. Failsy's favorite. That's when Failsy just drops.
It's when Failsy screams like a howler monkey and ascends into another reality.
Unfortunately, by dying in this one.
Yeah, that's how it works. Do you actually want to try to collect the substance? It is currently being washed away by the fairly heavy rain.
Let's see if I can salvage some of that.
Alright, go ahead and for this, make an Arcana check. And do you have an empty container on you?
Probably do. If not, I shove a fucking potion down Brimstone's face and then collect it in that.
Brimstone, drink this! I need the bottle!
That's it.
I don't care about your well-being.
I said I probably have some empty potion bottles from the last time we.
This is why I tell you to note down that you drink them, and you still have the bottles. I'll be nice and say that you at least have one empty bottle to just use. But at 21, you collect 1 bottle's worth of Wisp Essence.
Wisp juice.
Okay, we've been going for an hour and a half, and I really need to...
Break time.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. We just ended a combat. Perfect time for a break.
Yeah.
Bottle of Wisp Essence.
Okay, 5 to 10, everybody. Go use washroom, go refill drinks, go love on pets, stretch your legs, just 5 to 10 minute break.
Review my notes to make sure that I haven't just destroyed everything by giving Failsy an item. Which I don't believe I have.
Of course, as soon as I get up, you steal the chair. Fine, you can have it for the next 10 minutes.
That's how cats be.
It is my chair, mother.
Mother.
Both hair. Both hair, it is my chair. And I earned it by being the good cat. Now.
Alrighty then, let's see.
Yes, this spell is what Failsy has been working on after her little stint as an Echo Knight.
I mean, fair.
Yeah, she figured out how to replicate that sensation through magic. Which may or may not be a gateway for a certain other individual in this party to learn some stuff. But you gotta talk about magic now.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I don't. You can't tell me what to do.
I can, in fact, tell you what to do, and force you to do things. I'm the DM.
So I have to listen.
I'm God in this world.
Like a god telling what to do makes Brimstone do things.
A little sad we didn't finish that little campaign.
Eh. Stuff happened.
Yeah,
We still got the benefits from it, even though we didn't finish it.
true.
No, we didn't get like an S rank in pull out some weapons with us.
No, you got a passing grade, but a passing grade for something you didn't even technically start properly is still pretty good.
It's basically like, we've been studying all year, but we decided, fuck the midterm. But since our grades are good enough,
You showed up to class and that was enough.
it's just, fuck the midterm.
Still, Failsy with a
Dexterity-based greatsword.
dex-based greatsword.
That was a cool item, and unfortunately, it wasn't something you got to keep. But I'm also glad you didn't get to keep it because it did some stuff that you didn't get to see, and I'm glad that was what happened. It would have been a problem.
Fine, mine wouldn't have been useful for anyone but Failsy.
Wouldn't have even technically been useful for Failsy, because it was a spell book.
True.
So technically, it would have been just as useful for Failsy as it would have been for anyone, because it's essentially just spell scrolls. Oh, my Book of Harvestables doesn't have an undead section. That's right. Alright. Where is... Because this is equivalent to something else that is in this book. I remember that much. There's the section on things.
Failsy got a delicious glass of tasty wisp juice. Drink it and you can become a ghost. Forever.
Oh, here it is. There we go.
What is Wisp juice used for? I don't know. My Skyrim habits are kicking in where I just pick up everything.
It is a magical item in of itself and a potential ingredient for either enchanting or potion making.
Makes potions of dye.
So Skyrim logic. Just, kill the thing, pop everything.
I figured Skyrim logic. Drink it.
I was more thinking Skyrim logic. Let's make potions that will make me enchant better, and then I'll enchant things that let me make better potions, and then
I'll make another potion that lets me enchant better, and then enchant another thing that lets me make better potions, and continue forth into ad nauseum until you've broken the game's logic and systems, and you can wield a fist that does 9,999,999 million damage.
So I can fist the World Eater.
Turn yourself into One Punch Man by drinking a drug. Failsy, for the sake of note-taking, note down that the Wisp Essence is equivalent to pixie dust.
Okay,
That makes sense.
I'll add that to a weird stuff list.
Just in case you don't use it immediately, I need to have the reference to look it up.
Wisp
Fair.
dust? A wisp essence?
It's the same as it has the same magical properties as pixie dust.
Or you can blow it into somebody's eyes and make them really confused.
Nope.
Because they become a ghost.
Wait, is that right?
I think that's what it sounds like, a massive frog.
Oh wait, no, I just said the complete wrong item.
Oops.
Sprite dust.
Sprite dust, okay, yeah.
Ah, it makes a delicious fizzy drink.
Yeah.
It also happens to turn you into a ghost.
no, that's spirit dust.
Yeah.
That turns you into a ghost. This is
Well,
bright dust.
But
You're
it's
adding an
also
eye.
Well,
but
we
it's
have time to
also
know.
a wisp. It's wisp juice.
Actually,
drunk spirit draught.
that was a different thing. That let you see into the ethereal plane.
This lets you join the ethereal plane.
Actually, would Failsy just identify this stuff?
If I can.
Fucking probably.
Yeah, you could identify it.
Failsy likes knowing things. She's a nerd.
Suppose it is a magic item, and I guess this is technically eating someone's brain if I'm just pulling it out of the body.
It's less eating the brain and more drinking the juices.
Mm.
But close enough.
I know
It's-
that's an accurate
you're-
phrase, but I don't like it.
You're like huffing its ashes. That is the most accurate way to describe this.
That sounds like something Failsy would do, though. Just, hey, Failsy, you want to go huff someone's ashes? Yeah.
So for the sake of your note taking,
Yep.
wisp essence, when used, you sprinkle it over a person's body, and they gain the incorporeal movement feature of a wisp for 1 hour.
Oh, shit, that's kind of cool.
Their body becomes incorporeal, and they can pass through solid objects and creatures, as if they were difficult terrain, taking 1d10 force damage if they end their turn inside of an object.
Clearly, we have to just either Failsy fucking just sabotaging things by just going through walls and casting Acid Wave. Or Brimstone.
Listen, there's a reason I was just like, oh, I hope I haven't destroyed everything by giving you this. It's a single-use item, at least, so once you use it, it's gone.
Bro, yeah.
Okay. No, it's not destroying the game because reasons.
I'm terrified anytime I give you a magical item.
You should be.
Literally every time I give any of you a magical item, I'm just like,
What do you mean? Both my big magic items I've rarely used.
you're the only one who's not a problem, and that's because your character doesn't use magic items, or the magic item is of limited quantity, and you want to use it for you. You're currently using too good to use syndrome.
Well,
But
yeah,
it's actually accurately too good to use for any current situation.
yeah, because it's used for one thing, and that is to kill Dad.
At least to seriously injure my father.
For spite. Or to kill his wife. For spite.
Yeah, I know that, Failsy. That doesn't lessen my concern.
I think the concern comes from the fact that it's you.
Has Da Vinci been that bad with magic items?
No, not really.
You haven't been bad with magic items. You've been really bad with me having to try to figure out how much jewelry costs. And the sheer amount of money you technically could have.
Money. Yeah, Da Vinci is just the fucking bankroll of the party.
I mean, he kind of is.
Revenge is a spiffing Brit. He's just
He's trying to figure out how to break the economy. We're here trying to murder everything. Da Vinci is just trying to get trying to get rich quick. Money.
I watched a stream with the spiffing Brit where he went and played Armor, like Armor 3 or something, and all he did was go from town to town, selling bananas. Everyone else is going
course.
like doing military operations and stuff, and he's bankrolling bananas and making
Listen,
money.
bro.
That man, his conceptual understanding of video games terrifies me.
Is it funny that I could absolutely see Lee doing that?
I couldn't. Lee
Well,
will just give people the bananas.
That's true. Yeah. He just makes like a bunch of like banana pudding, and it's just like, oh fuck. Well, I guess I'll give it to people.
I know. This is being said to 2 people.
Well, I don't.
It's fine. I just actually need to like fully develop my system for how it's going to work. No, how like to evaluate the cost of crafted items.
Oh, fair.
I have an idea for it currently, which is pretty much the idea that taking the base material cost and then every step adds a multiplier onto that base material cost to determine the cost of the final piece.
Fair enough.
So for future things you're making, we're going to have to, at the onset, determine exactly how many rolls are going to go into it based on complexity. And if you fail said rolls, you're going to be losing material cost. Because per what we've discussed, Da Vinci, not a finery smith, he's a jeweler. If one of his pieces gets damaged, he can't necessarily recover it without another person fixing it.
Okay.
Unless it's something like small details, which he could work with.
Raw, you gotta get out of the chair, buddy.
Give him a belly pat.
But mother, it's warm.
Slap him right on his primordial mound.
That sounds like a euphemism.
A primordial pouch is apparently a thing cats have. It's that weird sack of skin and fat right in front of their back legs.
Yup.
Oh, huh.
I didn't know that. I don't have a cat.
So that's basically the cat paunch.
Yeah, the paunch is called a primordial pouch.
Yeah. It's basically where they can store extra stores of fat for when they don't have access to food.
Yeah.
Raw, it's a banana.
I promise you, he will still eat it.
But mother, it's food.
Mother, banana have potassium.
Mother,
Can consume
Mother, I sustain the chunk.
potassium, sugar, fiber. All of these things are good. In very small amounts for cats. Don't give your cat sugar.
How else am I supposed to be the chunky boy?
Raw, honey.
Both are cute.
He just hopped up into my lap. No, do not chew my headphone cord.
If you will not give banana, you will give pet.
I also need to keep in mind that you technically need to have a special kit to do this. For this particular material, it wasn't a problem, but for gathering other of these materials, you actually need to have a kit for it. You need to get Skinner's tools. But you can get those in any settlement. Alrighty then, is everyone back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to be muted until I'm done with my banana because my mic for OBS likes to pick up the chewing noises.
Fair enough. Alright, picking back into things then. So, after a bit of a harrowing fight for some and less so for others, and revealing a bit of extra magic, the rest of the day goes by unaccosted. And a fucking fly just flew on my nose! I hate that. I hate when it happens. Why must gnats seek nose?
Funny.
It not funny. It,
Funny.
Because gnats are little bastards.
They are little bastards, and they deserve every bit of suffering they receive at the hand of me crushing them. Anyways, now that my nose is no longer filled with it, we move on to your all's next day of travel. And let's see if Lee gives you any special bonuses to today, because he still has fresh ingredients. That's a far better roll. Let's see what he affects. Alright. This might not be super relevant, but the next day you all wake up with a radiant glow.
Ow!
Not like that, you fool. Let me read
Are
what
we
this
like
effect is.
actually casting light?
No.
That'd be kind of funny though.
You have a +1 to all ability checks for the day.
Shit.
Nice.
As the meal the previous day was filled with there's a bit of a seaweed salad and a chicken that was cooked in a very, very delicious and a little salty but quite tasty peanut-based peanut-based sauce.
It's the salty modifier.
Yeah.
I've got a global modifier button.
Yep, it is the salty modifier for Lee's ability. He hasn't used this ability in so long.
He hasn't had fresh ingredients to use it with.
Yeah, he does need fresh ingredients to use this ability. Or rather, he needs fresh ingredients to do this for all of you at once.
Fair.
And he's not going to use this ability if he's not going to give you all good food. Because that
That's
would be
fair.
unfair. One who is afraid of asking is ashamed of learning, says the fortune cookie.
Nope,
That's
just
not-
anxious.
That's not a fortune cookie. That's life advice, and I don't need it. Alright. So, who would like to head today's travel roll?
Nope.
I'll give it a shot.
Alright, Failsy, you step up alongside Dravinche, because I'm assuming Dravinche is still out the front, because he's usually who's out the front anyways. If he doesn't
Yeah,
want to
he's
be,
the-
please voice up.
Well, as it was mentioned, he's the guy who knows this area the most, so...
Yeah, at this current point, you are traveling along a established trade road, so you technically don't need to guide the cart.
It still is good to, if we encounter anything, for him to be out.
Fair enough, fair enough. Alright, Failsy, go ahead and roll 2d20 for me. 2d20.
16.
Not the addition, I needed just both results. So a 14
and 2.
A 2.
Ooh,
Make sure to,
interesting.
fix my health before we get any of the shit.
Alright, the rain does not let up throughout this day.
This is miserable.
This is rather dreary weather.
It's made a little bit better as part of the way through your all's watching of the roads. The fog has let up a little bit, which is nice. But part of your way's travel through these roads, Lee does come out and actually hands you both a nice warming cup of tea.
Ooh, much appreciated.
Yes. It's got like the classic sort of Earl Grey type smell, but it also has a light hint of orangey citrus in it. And a slight bit of, just ever so slight bit of sweetness when you take a sip of the tea as well.
Where would you even find oranges? Who am I kidding? It's Lee.
You actually look into the bottom of your tea glass he hands you. There is a couple of candied orange peels sitting in the bottom of the glass.
Huh.
You think Lee does not know how to preserve his citrus? He's literally a sailor!
Bro.
But there's also the question of where do you even get oranges to begin with?
He went on a I'm not going to say how much money Lee spent buying fresh ingredients for you guys to take on the road.
Like all that Lee spends money on.
It is actually all that Lee spends money on. And he
Yeah,
was
I
working
know.
a job to earn wages while you guys were traveling the city and exploring.
Yeah.
So he actually had quite a bit of money to spend.
And also we gave him we gave him some money as well. Well,
Yeah.
the
He used that to
It's-
buy cooking implements.
I just
cookies.
thought that the terrain of Granum would not be conducive to growing oranges.
It's probably not.
Keep in mind, the terrain of Granum is also the lands blessed with life that actually grows pretty much all food products from most of the world.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Fair enough.
Like super exotic fruits come from another place, which we've talked about before, the Starcrest Isles. But Granum can grow most food and fruits if it's at least an agricultural product. Also, what are you talking about? Granum is literally next to the equator of the planet and next to water.
I thought the equator was a bit higher, but fair enough.
It's pretty close to the equator. At least in terms of the scale of this planet. It's a little weird. Technically, the equator goes right through the Palecrest Isles, but the Palecrest Isles are Ireland, which definitely wouldn't exist on the equator.
Nope.
The
And also
topography of this planet is really weird.
And also that top
blame the
orange
crab.
section is the Jaylon Tundra, which is
Yeah.
also right next to the equator.
Yeah. The topography of this place is really weird.
I blame
For
the
the-
crab.
I blame the fact that this planet doesn't actually have an
An
equator,
equator.
technically. Because it doesn't have like a sun rotation.
I mean,
It's not
fair.
a normal planetoid. So, anyways, before we go further into science talk, during your all's travel today, the fog seems to let up, but there is a strange sensation as you all continue to travel forward, where there's not the fog that's obscuring your view of the area around you, but it just starts to low hang thick on the ground. I'd like for both of you to make perception checks.
Perception. I suck at perception.
15.
3.
3.
Now.
Oh, heaven or hell.
Heaven or hell, let's ride!
I think Felsy's preoccupied with a puzzle box.
Probably. But you could have made a roll for that yesterday if you wanted to.
Oh, remember to roll it for today.
I'll let you make 2 rolls today.
Bailey is so
Okay.
distracted by the puzzle box that she slips forward on the cart.
No, nothing like that. Dravinche, it is interesting, though. You don't hear the clack of the road under Jeeves' hooves anymore. You
He's
don't
going
feel the bump of cobblestones or that distinct clicking.
He's going to stop the cart and immediately reach down if it's low enough. If not, just hop down and
The
Get a
driver's
look.
seat sits pretty high on this cart, so you would actually have to hop off if you want to inspect the ground.
yeah, he would take a look at the ground.
All right. It's that sensation where when your feet penetrate this fog, it almost seems to swirl around and consume your legs. It's probably just above your ankles, but thick enough that, unless you were to say gust, you can't actually see the earth beneath.
which was going to be the thing that I was going to say for him to do. Just
I know.
blue.
All right. You send out a hearty gust from your magical attunement to the winds themselves, and for a moment the fog around your feet is blown away from you, and you appear to be walking across soft moss.
Done it. We unfortunately have been led astray off the road.
What are you doing down there? Oh, it's fine.
Fails you just look up.
We're no longer on the road. Somehow we got the fog caused us to veer off.
Well, then where's the road?
That is the big question right now.
Oh, do we just back up the thing till we find the road?
As long as we continue northwards, we have only one of two directions, east and west, where the road could end up being. Yeah. He's going to then take a look at the tree line. Is the tree line denser or farther away?
It doesn't appear to have moved. But gazing out into the tree line, you see a specific clearing has opened. As you notice it, I'd like for you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, no. 16.
You just managed to avoid the sensation as a sort of wanderlust floods in your mind. A clearing into the forest? That might be a shortcut somehow. And you shake it out just like, no, the road is going to be the quickest way forward.
Okay. It's clear this area is trying to play tricks on us. Steer clear of the tree line and continue to advance down. We'll continue to advance down the middle. Or at least, then he's just going to point north. That direction is north, and as long as we keep going relatively in that direction, we should still reach our destination.
Alright then.
Just out of curiosity, can I clink a firebolt at the moss to see if if it's just grown over the cobblestone?
Well, you didn't actually see the moss because you literally just noticed that because of your natural one, you were just like, the fuck's going on?
Okay.
Yeah, you just see Da Vinci standing in fog saying we're not on the road anymore. Actually, Da Vinci will try to cast Gus because it reaches out to up to 30 feet if he does it as a blast. To try to see if there's any stretch of fog or any stretch of road within 30 feet of the cart.
Alrighty then. You do so, you're on the road.
Oh,
There's the road, Da Vinci. What are you talking about?
There is no moss underfoot. You're still on those hewn cobblestones.
it's one of the tricks of the forest. Come, let's just get moving.
I didn't get tricked as far as you did.
It was trying to drive us off the road and get us lost into the woods.
All right. Having resisted this, you continue forward for the rest of the day, uneventfully.
Ooh.
Felsley, if you want to make those rolls for your puzzle box.
Let's try some Arcana. Does that find the right page? That is a 23.
That will be one success.
And a 17.
Barely
Technically, it would only
fails.
be a 16, so because you would have made that yesterday. Or either way, one of them succeeds, one of them fails. So you have one success at this point.
I imagine today's one was the one that was failed, and it was because just as Failsy was about to get the right solution in her head about the motions, Da Vinci just chimes up, "So what's with that puzzle box?" and completely breaks her concentration.
And then Failsy ate his face. Alright, but the day progresses uneventfully after that point. Who would like to make the next day's check as I roll to see if Lee gets to... Nope, just tasty food.
I could do the next one.
Alright, you step up alongside Da Vinci today.
Alrighty.
Alright, so if you would, 2d24 rolls for me, please.
Oh, no, that's the wrong thing.
Another thing you can do is there's the roll assister.
Well, I got it. 11 and 5.
11 and 5, alright. And the arrow just suddenly jutted out of position, so I had to fix it. Now it is in the right place. Alright. 11 and 5. Today progresses uneventfully. The rain seems to finally break, though. The first rays of sunshine over the last 2 days finally start to peek down through the clouds, as today is an uneventful day of travel.
It's annoying how much it rains this time of season.
I guess you could say I'm used to seeing rain around this time of year. So it's just, well, I grew up with it. This isn't near as cold, though.
Yes, this is at least better heat temperature-wise than the Jaylon Tundra. That's just north of this area.
Every time different chip pronounces that word, it bothers me.
Actually, I think according to the map, we're pretty relatively close to the Palecrest Isles now.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And as far away as we possibly could be from Tezverel.
I'm sorry about that.
It's only partially your fault. I mean, there's still everything else that happened. And it's not like you orchestrated for the ship to get attacked. If you did, I would be rather cross with you.
Oh yeah, I did that all so I could try to trick you into going as far away from your destination as possible. Ha ha ha. Hey, she's
Oh,
clearly
no, you
making
seem-
jokes. Sorry.
You seem to be all full of surprises.
Not one's that big.
Yeah.
Sorry. The day, again, progresses uneventfully, peacefully even. At one point throughout the day, you even see other carts start to pass by you, going in the opposite direction. Relatively unassuming wagons.
Davinci would at least hail them and ask about the state of the road up ahead.
Alright. Make a general charisma check.
A 6.
A 6.
Actually, would that be I guess it's not a skill.
It's also the next day.
Oh, right.
You did not get the bonus again. Alright then. You hail them, and they don't seem particularly interested in talking to you, unfortunately. Though most of them seem to say that the few that do any sort of conversation with you just seem to say that there was no trouble of them heading down their way. But a couple do make the semi-snide remark of that can change at any moment.
Indeed. Boys can be be quite tricky in this area.
Especially the humans. Just continues carting along. Alright then. Ow, my throat. Alright, so as this is a peaceful day of travel, is there anything anyone wants to specifically do?
Davinci is continuing to man the cart, so other than just idle conversation and looking at some of the stuff that he has as materials, not really much.
Fair enough, fair enough. Alright, unless Failsy.
Probably Lee with more word games, but slipping into Bissell.
He doesn't seem to notice.
Interesting.
He still seems confused at complicated words, but doesn't seem to treat Abyssal as any different of a language than Common.
Now she's just trying to make Brimstone be paranoid with her, Jamel, and Lee just having conversations in.
Yeah, they're all just like gurgling and hissing at each other.
Other than that, maybe.
And Brimstone stares at it stoically.
I mean, it's Lee.
Fair enough.
Like, the fact that Lee is involved in the conversation isn't... Even if it's also with Failsy, like, whatever. It's Lee. How much harm could it actually be doing?
He punches holes in boats. All right then.
Well, it's malicious action.
Fair enough.
Other than that, we'd be doing a puzzle check.
All right. Failsy continues to puzzle away at her puzzle.
Puzzling. 17.
Darn. Still not high enough. All right. The next day of travel goes by. Who would like to roll? Or at this point, Dravinche, do you just want to try menning by yourself again? Or have
Sure.
someone with you?
I mean, it's up to the others. He'll operate alone as needed.
Fair enough.
And last time Brimstone did it, they got attacked.
Brimstone, paranoid.
Yeah, I wonder why.
But 2d20. That is a 13 and a 14.
Right, a 13 and a 14. It's a bit hot in the morning, but as the day progresses, you actually get stopped on the road by another one of these traders. One of them actually seems to hail you. Sorry, but I figured I should warn you.
Oh?
Yes, if you're heading to Petalfall, be careful. There's currently a migration going through.
Migration? Of what is it this time?
Of amber spines.
Amber spines. Is this a creature that Dravinci knows?
This would be a history check.
History? Okay, that's a 20.
Alright, with a 20. Yeah, you're relatively familiar with these. As a terrifying visit shows up next to you. Oh, that was yesterday. You're somewhat familiar with these. Amber spines are... What is the best way to describe them? They're like small moving hills that are essentially just giant... Almost like a giant bovine. Like a giant cow. But almost completely made of stone and plant matter.
So Duramboros. So got smaller Duramboros. I got it.
Actually, yeah, Duramboros, very similar comparison. Very
Picturing it
similar
was
in
like
appearance.
a hedgehog.
No, they
These
are
are
actually
much bigger.
no, they are actually referred to as amber spines though because they do secrete amber, kind of like a natural creature would have like oil on their skin. These secrete amber, and they do form into sharp spines that they will shoot out as projectiles if threatened.
It could be an opportunity to collect amber for resources, but yeah, that is going to be tricky to get the cart through.
If you held off a day, they pass through. They're just going through the actual petal field right now. You could probably still get your cart through, but I figured I'd warn you. You don't want to be trampled.
Fair enough. Thank you for the warning. How far out is the migration right now?
I passed them by in the morning, so at this point they're probably about halfway through the field right now. You might see them by nightfall, if you're even going to run into them.
Okay, might be worth to set up stop early tonight.
Fair enough. Just make sure that you don't set up shop near any big tufts of greenery.
Of course, of course. Uh, what goods? What goods are moving on the market these days?
From Petalfall?
Yeah.
There's been a surplus of royal honey lately. That's been fortuitous.
Ooh, good, good. Got a chef in the carriage who would love to hear that.
Oh, and they're actually starting to market on larvals again. If you're interested in such servants.
Interesting. It's been a while since those have been on the market.
Population's apparently doing well. I don't follow it too much myself. Don't personally need the assistance.
Fair enough. Oh, thank you for the information.
Not a problem. Safe travels.
To you as well.
And this elven individual heads off.
Rinche will, as they part ways, will give a polite bow and continue the cart down the road, keeping a close eye for the telltale signs of the amber spires.
Amber spines.
Oh, amber spines.
Yes. Luckily, the telltale signs of them is seeing them, period, as they are gargantuan creatures. You would notice one from quite a ways off if they were around. Because they are quite literally a moving hill of a creature.
Fucking scared.
But luckily, they're very docile by nature.
They are, baby.
So by nightfall, you actually are at the edge of the petal field. You see in the early evening hours as the sun dips down to the horizon and the sky above is painted in shades of reds and orange and just the edges of purples and blues across the sky. As these massive budding tulip, rose, and lily-like flowers gently have started to close their petals for the evening. There's an overwhelming scent of nectar in the air.
Rinche is going to stop the cart because he knows this is a particularly fanciful spectacle when seen in the morning. So he wants to set that aside for the others, and he'll tell the others stopping travel early because of amber spines going through on a migration. Just want to play it safe.
Yeah, and you can explain to them just quickly and offhandedly what those are.
Yeah.
You can actually see a few of them in the distance as you're pulling the cart off to the side of the road so as to not block the trade route. They're every bit as inherently threatening as a gargantuan creature is, though they seem to pay you no mind.
Yes. The key things. They are big. They are terrifying when angered. They don't anger easily.
Yes. They're herbivores by nature, so...
It's a case of you don't bother it, it won't bother you.
Yeah. It has the personality of a giant cow.
Is there anything inherently valuable about the amber spines, like magic-wise?
Amber.
Yeah, amber. They're a good way to collect amber if you can get one that's decided that will let you get close enough to it to harvest from it. Or if you decide to fight one, which
Yeah.
I'll just tell you all right now, you would lose that fight.
Yeah.
We're not fighting them.
Fighting a gargantuan creature gets you into the point where they have trample attacks that deal at minimum 4d10 damage.
Yeah.
Plus a lot.
Yeah, no kidding.
Gargantuan creatures are terrifying in D&D. I also have a rule in this game that normal-sized creatures can't actually properly damage gargantuan creatures. That's why regalias exist.
I imagine it's a case of like damage threshold.
Pretty much, yeah. You have to deal over a certain amount of damage before it even affects them. Because, let's be honest, there's no reason why a normal sword should affect something the size of a hill. Unless you're real lucky.
I have one counter.
No.
Monster Hunter.
Yes, but those aren't normal swords.
Those are swords that not even the person should be able to carry.
Dual blades.
Still not a normal sword. Very heavy, and also specifically designed around skittering across something's back, doing a bunch of tiny cuts to make it bleed out.
Fair enough.
Still, though.
Anyway.
This ain't Monster Hunter, even if I do actually have a book based around letting you all collect monster parts.
Hmm. Yeah, and when morning comes around, Da Vinci is going to have everyone just step out of the cart for a bit.
Hey, Andy, since you're here, could you roll a d20 for me? Just to check something.
Okay. I got an 8.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna go back to mute now.
Okay.
Oh no, Andy's been discovered. Ket is now.
I thought you were gonna say disintegrated. I was gonna be much more concerned. Yeah, just
Time to roll a new character, y'all.
Oh.
Everyone steps out of the cart. They see Keta running down the road, and poof!
I mean, poof from Keta is normal.
Yes,
Keta
but
go-
not poof into dust.
Yeah, that one's a little more concerning.
As you all are loading out of the cart per Da Vinci's request, it's weird. There's a giant... There's a hill next to you that wasn't there previously. And it's leaning against the cart.
Fuck.
I see one of the amber spines decided to take a rest near our respite.
As you
Hi.
talk, its giant head like lolls over to look at you.
Not exactly the view I wanted to give you all.
Still pretty amazing.
Sounds mad.
Yeah, its mouth just opens as it yawns, and it lets out that sound.
No, it's just tired. Think it's trying to get a bit of rest.
It seems to reposition itself slightly and nuzzle its head back down into the dirt, which actually just shoves the earth out of the way.
Is it sitting on the road?
No, it's like sitting towards like between where your cart is pulled off and the tree line.
Okay. But
You actually can look. There's a bunch of like tiny pieces of amber like skittered around your cart. And you could make the connection. It might have been scratching itself on the side of your cart.
Oh no.
Failsy. Oh no! Just starts picking up.
Oh, couldn't magic.
What is... No, I can't see what that is.
If you actually did want to take the time to collect it, you could collect about... Most of it's not really worth anything, but you could collect about 5 to 10 pieces of amber worth about 10 gold apiece.
It would pick up a few.
I'll roll them. So I would say there's a total of 8 pieces of amber that are worth 10 gold apiece.
Can I
You'll-
pet
You want to pet it?
Sorry?
can I pet the hill?
You just walk over to it and pat it.
Well,
It's weird because there are some spots on its body that are like really hard because they're just rocks. Then other spots that are like super soft because they're like fresh morning moss. And you like occasionally feel like a somewhat jagged barky root poking through. It's like you're petting a forest floor. As you're touching it, its head does slowly loll slightly, and its just eye opens up and looks at you.
if I need to make any rolls, I think I'm going to use a spell that I haven't used in a while because it's never used because it's a racial one called
All right.
Enthrall.
This would be in... Let's just make you make an animal handling check. Not going to be a high DC because these creatures are docile by nature.
Because it, baby.
Never mind, that's a different thing.
Yeah, I think Enthrall is a different spell entirely. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead and
Yeah.
just make an animal handling check.
I thought it gave it advantage on checks against enthralled character.
No, you're thinking like the charm person spell.
You're thinking either Charm Person or Friends, the cantrip. But that would still only be Charisma, and animal handling is Wisdom.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and just do an animal handling check.
Dang it. Because I don't ever want an animal handling.
Just roll it.
Elsie is the hill whisperer.
It just blinks once, and then twice at you. And just rolls its head back over and plops it back down and just goes back to sleep.
Besides, you are entirely inoffensive.
That is a 21 on the animal handling.
It is designated you currently as not a threat, so it does not care about you.
Now, the real reason why I brought you out here is... And Da Vinci's just going to gesture to the actual field.
Yeah. You all see before you this massive field of various wildflowers. As they are in the morning sun, you can visually see this as their petals are opening up. Going from these gigantic bulbs to a massive canopy of petals. You can only imagine what it must look like from the top. But to see it from your current perspective is still quite amazing. You watch as thick briars twist down from various types of wild roses. Lilies coated with these small little hair-like petals going down their entire length of what would be the trunk of a normal tree. Smaller daisy-type flowers, and even some things that almost look like gigantic cotton ball daffodils just growing up into the air around you. And in this same morning sun, I'd like for everyone who wants to make a perception check.
Sure.
Okay.
The one time Da Vinci lows roll. Or rolls low.
Lowe's.
10.
I mean, Lowe's roll also works.
Yeah. So everyone but Da Vinci notices this. As you can currently see tiny little yellow humanoids buzzing around in the air around the tops of these flowers.
The fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I think those might be the bee people.
Ah, yes, this would be the time where they will be most active.
Yep. The race that is collectively known as the Buzzkin.
I couldn't remember their names, so I figured an in-character thing would
Fair.
just be that.
It's a bunch of individual races of bee-like creatures, but they are collectively known as Buzzkin.
Yeah.
Actually, a fun note, apparently buzzkin larvae are on sale in the market now if anyone would care to have one as a servant. Not my taste personally, but it is an option.
Yeah. Until you said that, we were gonna have a problem.
Yeah. And this is something Morrigan is also somewhat familiar with your readings on this area.
Mm-hmm.
You, as was mentioned in the previous session, Buzzkin are a race that are willingly slaves. Again, the terminology is a bit weird because, again, they're willingly putting themselves through it. And they're not objecting to it at all, so it's weird that it's being called slavery, but again, that's an outside perspective understanding a weird social relationship.
I mean, they're more like willing serfs than anything.
Is there anything similar in the Zamodus Temple region? Or is this just strictly on this side of the Blossom Kingdom?
I mean, slaves, yes, but the Zamodus Temple itself frowns upon it heavily due to their general want for people to have their own freedom of expression in all things. Like, there's a reason that often puts them at odds with many of the other Yuan-Ti temples, because the Zamodus Temple is very friendly compared to most Yuan-Ti. The majority of Yuan-Ti would just enslave people, with or against their will.
Lucky you guys, you have that Felsy's picked up these kinds of morals.
Yeah, you were raised by these people.
Uh,
I also feel like Falesy, for backstory reasons, would personally oppose slavery.
yeah, I just didn't know if there was any like Buzzkin adjacent races that lived in the desert.
Not exactly like the Buzzkin themselves, but there are like servant races that are forcefully put into subjugation by other temples. Like some kobolds, other lesser lizard folk type races. Some insectoids, but not quite like this. Nothing that could fly. Things more akin to ants, actually. Actually, specifically ant creatures called Thrycrane. But nothing like this.
I'm torn. I mean, Mom would get really peeved if I came home with some Buzzkin larvae, but then also we would be not enslaving them at the temple. Jamel, help me out.
Felzy, I think this is a case of a very different culture from our own. Morgan, you were talking about this before. These people are willingly subjecting themselves to this.
Yeah, from what I was reading, it seemed more like serfs who continue to serve the Lord because they're treated so well. Less slavery, more our boss is good, so we're just gonna stay here. At least
So
that was
you
my
did-
interpretation.
But how does this translate to let's buy your babies and take them with us?
I don't
Adoption?
know. I guess that maybe I read some things wrong. I just know that I read up about them.
No, you read up right. I personally don't entirely get it myself.
You also, I will say this, in your readings, mostly because it was from an outside perspective, you don't really know how the Buzzkin themselves develop physically.
Yeah, she's just like, she said what she said, then she's confused Morgan noises as she puts her hands up in the air.
I need to see these markets now.
Phil, okay.
Well, we can step by, and also Lee, a bit of a tip. Apparently,
His head
Royal
slowly
Honey.
emerges from the cart.
No,
I'm making breakfast. What do you want?
Royal Honey is apparently
It's the most aggressive.
has what's out of character. What's the term?
Like royal honey?
Yeah, surplus. Is that it?
Yes.
Mm,
It's not a surplus. It's being sold, period, right now.
mm,
It is available.
no, apparently Royal Honey is that there's been enough of a surplus that's now back in the market. You can get some very specialty honey now.
Yeah.
I picture like he just has a grin, yeah, and slowly drifts back into the cart in order to continue making breakfast.
He slowly drifts back into the cart, and as his head disappears, it pops right back out. Oh, by the way, I'm making biscuits and gravy with bacon. Come in when you're hungry. And slowly disappears again. And then just his lips appear again. There's eggs as well. It's like his lips with the bottom tusks still on them.
Okay.
You know what? I don't care.
That's
Lee
clearly a
functions on
case of an
cartoon logic.
illusion.
No, Lee just functions on cartoon logic. You're all aware of this. This is not weird for Lee.
No, it's more of just Brimstone just like about to question it, and then like it's late.
It's Lee. There's no point. It'll just hurt your head.
Yeah, just you know what? Whatever. I don't care.
But anyway, this is the Petal Fields, the Forest of Flowers.
Yes. One of a few. Specifically, in this one, it's bulb flowers. Other ones have different types of flowers. But these are the particular types of forestry locations from where the Blossom Kingdom gets its name.
There's a few others like it, but this one has a very select list of flowers. But anyway, that is what I want to show you all, this spectacle. We can be off on the road again.
Wow, there's a hill that's eating the cart.
It's not like on top of the cart or stopping it from moving anything. It's just sitting right next to it.
We'll just have to navigate carefully around it.
Yeah, and thanks to Failsy's animal handling check, it is completely asleep. It has ignored your all's presence entirely.
Like, these things are cool. I'm gonna nap.
They're not going to try to bite me.
I don't care.
It is a rare moment to be able to see an amber spine so close.
Yeah, it was interesting. Specifically, when it looked at you, Failsy, its eye wasn't like a fleshy, weird, gross eye. Its eye actually appeared to be a gigantic ruby.
I get a feeling that someone will try and hunt this just to pluck out eyes.
They are hunted to harvest gemstones from. But
Oh,
it's
yeah, the-
incredibly dangerous to do so. Because they are ridiculously strong.
There is a market for the suicidal.
Maybe at one point, not now.
Alright.
That, and I think if Keta saw one of these things, she'd want to have it as a pet. So,
Alright. You all load back into the cart, have some breakfast, and continue on today's bit of travel. Knowing now, based on the map you have in the cart to see, you are today's travel and then a single day's more, and you will reach Petalfall. So who would like to make what I'm going to have be the last travel rolls, as you are actually making your way through the Petal Field.
Okay, who will join Da Vinci on the cart?
If nobody else wants to, I can do it.
Or you could still join him on the outside of it, but Andy, since you are present, would you like to do the 2 travel rolls for today?
Yeah, and if that's okay with the party.
Yeah, go right ahead.
No, what would I be rolling?
It's just 2d20, and
Okay.
you determine their fate.
16 and 18.
Alright.
That's the highest pair we've had.
eye rolls, we're all dead.
Oh no, game master shenanigans. Prepare for another game.
Nothing happens at the beginning of the day. The end of the day, though, has an interesting event.
Oh, I caused something interesting to happen. Look at that.
Well, it just means I have to roll on a table now.
Why do you sound so bored?
Well, it's mostly just because I hope it's not a big event, because we're ending after this.
Damn it, next
Fair.
session you get to see Keta.
Yes.
The baby. We get to find baby.
Oh, that's actually an interesting... That is actually an interesting event. Okay,
You
then.
find Keta outside of the city.
Oh,
No, I'm sorry.
No, we just find Tatella. She's just roaming around.
She would be very out of where she's supposed to be. That would
Yeah,
be
I know. Yeah, no kidding.
Oh no,
If
you
she's this
found
far away
another-
from the forest, then something happened.
Yeah.
Alright then. So, as the day winds down, another peaceful day of travel, you can actually see the city of Petalfall in the distance as you are stopping the cart for the night. The buds above you begin to close, and the night sky is clear. And you can see streaks of light racing across the night sky. I would
That's
like for
quite the-
everyone to roll a d20.
That's quite the spectacle above. Boom. Uh-oh.
And I do mean everyone, including Andy.
Oh shit.
I mean, makes sense.
13.
Oof. No.
9.
2 13s, 2 2s, and a 9.
And I've got to roll one for each of the NPCs as well.
And myth twinsies.
This one will be me.
That's when Lee gets a 20 and just, I want my girlfriend back.
This one will be me. This one will be Elway, and this one will be Janelle. Okay then.
I won't catch her. I miss her.
Not Lee.
What?
Not Lee got this roll.
Oh.
Jamel got this roll.
I wish Fancy was taller.
Failsy
grows like half an inch.
Failsy can be as tall as Failsy wants to be.
I mean, that's true. She does
Right,
have
Jamel?
access to, like, alter and just alter self.
I've been doing some side rolls of how long she's been wearing a mask for and forgetting to take it off.
Hey, no,
I feel like Failsy... I feel like Failsy wouldn't forget to take it off. It's just like, oh yeah, I should probably take this off. Nah, let's see what happens.
That's more like...
I should probably take this off. I can't take this off.
Oof.
Oof.
Fall asleep with it on.
Wake up and oh no.
I don't know what the curse is yet.
Yeah, we'll see. This is weird because I didn't expect an NPC to get this.
Damn it.
You got it.
Expected us to roll better?
Well, I expected with everyone getting a chance to roll that one of you would roll a natural 20, given your track record.
No. It would be useful? No.
I mean, if it's important,
Sorry.
I need to try and roll again.
No, this isn't something you dominate fate. You know what? You'll see what the result of that is later. All right. As you
Get
all-
back to this Modus Temple until he has doubled in size somehow.
I don't fit anywhere now.
I am
I
very
hate
sad.
this.
Yeah, I'm very sad. I can't see my babies anymore.
I think then at that point it's like, all right, we're making the lake bigger.
All right.
We're taking over the ocean. She would be
That's-
the size of a Leviathan at that point.
Let's blow up the ocean.
Let's dig a canal straight to the ocean now.
Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'm giving this roll to one of you because I don't want an NPC to have it.
Me, please.
3, 4,
Please.
5.
No,
So I'm gonna roll
let
to see who
him.
gets it.
Based on a roll.
Who gets it?
All right. Let's see. I rolled a 4, so that would actually be Keta. We'll resolve this later.
Yay!
God, why does Keta... God, Keta, why do you get 2 wish spells?
It's not a wish spell. I'll say that much. It is a fortunate boon, and I'll explain what that is at some other point.
Knocked in the head with a comment.
That was actually one potential thing that could happen.
How is it a fortunate... How's it a fortunate boon? I don't fucking know.
No, I rolled on the table shooting stars, and then rolled again to determine, does it fall or is it in the sky?
No.
This was it stays in the sky, which means it's a wishing, which means it's a boon star.
Alright.
But
We'll talk about that later.
yeah, we will end off tonight's session with you all knowing that you will be reaching Petalfall by the midday of your next day of travel.
You get to rescue the baby soon.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if we didn't have to do that fight earlier with that unfortunate roll, we probably would have gotten to Petalfall today.
I mean,
But
should I
such
roll
is
an
the
extra? Should I roll that d20 again that I rolled earlier? I don't know what it was for. Since
that
it's
was
a new day.
No, that D20 I had you roll before was to that single one I had you roll before was to see if one of the living mountains of the Amber Spines was sitting on the cart.
Ah.
I just wanted to see if they'd leave the cart the next morning and find one just right next to them.
Well, next session.
No, just step out. There's a giant wall of rock. Huh, that wasn't there before.
I don't remember that being there. Moving on.
So I'm blaming you, Adventure.
You blame me for half of everything, and then you blame the other half on Failsy.
Well, yeah, when it doesn't have an explicitly magical effect, it's your fault.
If it's some god bullshit, it's you. If it's some magic bullshit, it's Failsy. If it's ghost, it might be Morrigan or it might be Failsy. And if it's food, it's Lee.
What about Ketchup? What do you blame on Ketchup?
She's not around right now. We can't blame anything on you.
Anything involving sugar.
Or chaos. But yeah, that's all for tonight.
Next session,
So
y'all.
let's wrap.
Next session.
Yee.
Yee.
That's when we get to equip baby.
If you can find her.
I can always find the baby.
All we need to do is just release the Lee. She will be found.
We can go find Kenta.
Running through the streets. Well, good night, everyone.
Good night.
And Andy chose to say it early.
Yeah,
Sorry.
is the whole thing. Okay, so before the sign off, does anybody have anything they want to promote, shill, announce, anything like that?
No.
I'm gonna be an older parental figure again. My sister is going to have a baby soon.
Ooh.
Nice.
Gross.
I know.
Children.
The miracle of childbirth.
Yeah, it's not that much of a miracle.
You're just like, "Ah!" and then a baby.
I mean,
It's not inaccurate.
I
Anyway.
guess.
Any hoozles.
Yeah, but I don't have anything to shill or announce. At least not yet.
Armor, do you got anything?
No, I'm good.
Failsy?
I'm okay. I don't shield.
Okay. I think I heard Myth, you say you didn't have anything to do that with. I'm just wanting to make sure I heard you correctly.
That's fair. No, I don't.
Okay. Alright, so with that, if you enjoyed this and you would like more of this group and, you know, the more traditional, kind of sort of medieval, definitely high fantasy D&D stuff from us, you can join us on this same channel most Saturdays at or around 8 p.m. EST for more of the Scattered Realms. And if you like our energy but want something a little more modern fantasy, you can join us on this same channel most Thursdays. Although I think we're looking into making it every other Thursday.
More or less, if we are streaming, we might sometimes take a break so that I can actually have time to write stuff. Might not be soon because we're in the middle of an arc and I've got plenty to write about.
Yeah.
But maybe between this and the next mission, we might need to take some breaks.
Yeah, okay, fair. But as of right now, we're still on the Thursday game. We're trying to do that as many Thursdays as we can.
We've scheduled well.
Yes, and that game is the Ada project. Although I realize I keep calling it Project Ada on the stream.
Both are correct, as long as it's actually pronounced Ada.
Very fair, which is ADA.
The Anomalous Defense Agency.
Yes. You can join us for that most Thursdays on this same channel at or around 7 p.m. EST, where we are joined by two different players. The players for that game are myself, Armored Myth, and we are joined by Rodarks, who goes by Al, and CJ.
Giant fucking nerd and CJ.
Hey, Ryphon's a fucking nerd too, it's just he's not as loud about it.
Well, I guess in that game for the players we have two giant nerds. Only one of them is large in stature though, armored.
Yeah.
We're joined by some good beans.
Yee. Very good beans. But yeah, if you like the standard high fantasy, join us on Saturdays at or around 8 p.m. EST for more Scattered Realms. If you want something modern fantasy, most Thursdays at or around 7 p.m. for Project Ada.
Ah, yes, my favorite high fantasy. Gun.
Listen, it is technically a high fantasy world. It just has some modern or some semi-modern and or slight industrial revolution elements.
Yeah, my weapons are more industrial.
It's because Tezvarel is much more technologically advanced than the rest of the world.
Yee.
Fair.
Okay, so with all that said, would everybody like to say goodnight?
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Alrighty. Good night, everybody. We'll see you when we see you next.